All right. Greeting, RV friends. My name is Tim Richardson. It's my privilege to help equip us all for buying an RV. So if that's what you're thinking about, you're in the right place. Maybe you've already bought one before. You want to learn from your mistakes. I'm here to just dump a bunch of information on you, answer a lot of questions, have an expert joining us here in a little bit. And it's going to be good. So find the chat area. Man, let's talk about fast. All right, Josh, thanks for joining us. We're just gathered in here. So, folks, find the chat area. That's where you're going to be asking questions as we roll through this time. Find the chat area. Put in what state and city you're watching from. That'll be fun. We'll do some shout-outs as we get everybody gathered in and get ready to roll here with some buying tips and what to expect when you're expecting to buy an RV. So this whole idea of giving birth to an RV is kind of like that, don't you think, Josh? Not that you would know, but I've had kids of my own, and that 9-month process, more for my wife, was kind of stressful, painful, different things, you know. And then, but you can forget about all that. Once you get the kid arrives, everything's great, and you forget all the stuff you went through to make sure you everything worked out well. So it's kind of like buying an RV. All the pain of getting best price, you know, not getting taken advantage of, all that. Yeah, forget about all that process once you get it and you're camping, making memories. And so my name's, as I said, folks just joining us, my name is Tim Richardson. I have Josh Durnell joining us here to my right.
Hey, guys.
Whatever that is. And we have folks all the way from Texas. Mary, greetings. Jalen from Michigan. Not too far. I'm actually up in Cleveland, Ohio. Josh, you're down, Lakeview, Ohio, which is, 45 minutes from Columbus, Ohio?
Yep.
Northwest. Yep. So, Patrina in Maryland, John out in Framingham, Trish in Florida, Carol in Indiana, all over the place. So,
yeah, I just sold a customer this morning in Ocala, Florida, actually. So that's cool.
Oh, Florida? Okay.
Yep. Nice. Yeah, that's cool to see someone else there.
Nice and warm down there. We're starting to get warmer up here. We had just had a bunch of snow up in Cleveland last week during that big basketball all-star thing. But Chris is in Michigan too. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. I think there's about 20 some of us in here, so this will be fun. So this is the area you're going to ask questions. If we go too fast, we're going to send a replay link. So if you have any tech issues or whatever, you'll be getting a replay link about 2 hours after this in your email. So that'll take you there. So don't worry about taking extreme notes. If one of you or your significant others isn't able to be here, that will be coming your way. So very cool. Like I said, we're going to help you have this RV. So number one thing, though, expect hidden fees. And this is just kind of par for the course. I've been doing a lot of these virtual RV shows. I think we're getting close to our 25th one coming up. This next one, I think, is Thursday. Mm-hmm. And we've been doing these shows. And I like to go into the industry, dive in, and take cameras down to Elkhart, Indiana, where all these things are manufactured, and ask questions. And then Josh, he's been doing this longer. So about you, Josh, you grew up with RVs. I mean, your dad's been involved. Your family's been involved in RVs for 25 years or something.
Since before my time. So yeah.
Yep. And so this guy has an RV, has had multiple RVs, travels with pets. How many dogs do you have?
3 now.
Okay. I'm just curious, while we're getting started here, how many people camp with pets? So I'm going to put up a poll, and we're going to do some polls so we know if this is your first RV, how many, and then I'll give you the answers as Josh starts talking about hidden fees. Like, what's the number one hidden fee you see popping up when people come to you like, hey, Josh, what do you think about this? I have this contract, or I got this great deal at a show. Look at this sales agreement. What do you think? And then tell me what ones have surprised you or you see a lot of.
Prep, which I'm sure we'll at least have a slide to touch base on that. That's that could be anywhere. It could be a couple $100. It could be a couple $1,000. The freight just can be outrageous with gas prices right now. Freight is just it's absolutely insane. So those and it's not that you're not going to be subject to the freight. It's that it's a surprise, right? It's a hidden fee. That's what we're trying to go over here today, and we'll explain everything in regards to what we feel being subject to is necessary and what really is just a additional way to get some more money out of your guys' pockets. And that's what we go up against every day with our competitors. Advertising a really low price, getting you in the door, and then kind of surprising you before you get to leave with the camper. You know what I mean? I think that's the goal here. That's why I like to sit in on these, is try to keep that from happening. So
yeah, and that's kind of been the motivation. The two owners of RV Wholesalers, where you work, I'm actually not employed or on payroll with those guys. I just was asked by the owners, Dave and Mike, who are actually both school teachers before they started this, high school teachers. And they did that for a number of years, got into the RV industry, and they still like to teach, so that's why we're here teaching. It's like, they obviously can only sell a few thousand you guys can sell this year. So it's like, hey, if we can only sell a few thousand, there's going to be 600,000 sold. We might as well at least help educate folks like you guys out there. So I appreciate you guys taking time to want to learn. And you'd mentioned a couple of things on the fees, though. That one that you said prep fee, that PDI is another, it's kind of the inside term on what it is.
Right. And there's so much terminology in the industry. It's hard to, one dealer that I guess I'll pick on for a moment. He has a conglomerate of, so the things that you guys are seeing on this page here, the 1 through 5, he, instead of having each individual fee, there's one fee, but it's like $2,900, and they call that a peace of mind fee. And that's where they'll go through and they'll prep the camper, they'll clean it, they'll give you the orientation, you get a starter kit. It's funny because he even says that they'll give you a power cord. That comes from the factory. They're not giving that to you, right? So, but this peace of mind fee is a conglomerate of all of these fees that we have in front of us of what to pay attention to and look out for, because you shouldn't be subject to. I kind of joke with my customers that, send me their purchase agreements to go up against and say, well, that sounds more like a piece of your pocket fee. I mean, $2,900 isn't a small amount, and it's a big surprise, right? So that just motivates me to be here, guys. I promise I got plenty to do, but if you guys are taking time out of your day to learn, this is important to me and Tim and the other people here at RV Wholesalers, that like you said, we can't sell them all. You also shouldn't be taken advantage of. This is a very greedy industry, and that's not why we're a part of it, so.
Yeah. So Josh, real quick, the polls came back, 88%. This will be their first time buying an RV. So
nice.
Guys, a lot of times we see actually even the numbers pretty big for people coming back for their second RV because they made mistakes or they got taken advantage of and don't want to make the mistake twice. So people travel with pets, like you would probably fall in this category, 71% yes, and 29% no, they wouldn't travel with pets. That's actually getting higher, 75 now, 25. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, back to the fees. So PDI fee, I mean, that can, like you said, that can be a few $100s, sometimes $1,200, $1,400. I mean, I see it commonly at the big chain of RV stores. That's not a surprise if it's $1,400, right?
Exactly. Yes. And it is the larger names. It truly is. And a lot of, I mean, just to be honest, like, for example, we have gravel. Here at our main location, we have gravel. I've been asked a couple of times. So I've heard both ways. One, so wow, would it kill you to get some concrete? And my response is, well, that's the reason you're here. I could ask $25,000 more for the same camper, and I could afford to put concrete down, but that's not why you're here, right? And I've also heard people say, this is good. This is I get it now. This is why I'm here. You guys are low. You own everything. You own the building. You pay for the products and you pay for the staff. So as the extreme low overhead, you don't need all of the fees included in there. And we do a lot of business because of that. We're just so anyway. The pre-delivery inspection, guys. This is something that every camper is subject to. You have to. As a dealership, I have to take possession of this RV and I have to go through and prep it, which just means testing the appliances, running water, running propane, basically doing everything except camping in it before you guys get to, right? So if we find anything wrong with that camper, let's just say the furnace is not working correctly, the factory pays us a lot of money actually to fix those things. So if I'm already getting money from the factory for not doing their job correctly, why is the customer being charged hundreds or thousands for that, right? It almost makes you wonder if
it's like the factory's paying like that full service, the amount that they would pay, that hourly rate that a service center gets paid, the factory's paying that. So like, how can they justify charging a customer for something that they're already, it's like double dipping, I think. But
it would be double dipping, or at the very least, again, I mean, the same customers that tell me that are the same ones that go home and they turn on the furnace, for example, and they still smell that burning oil. I can tell you that is a dead giveaway that your camper was not prepped correctly, or to the extent of what it should have been. If you're, the second you turn on that furnace, the smoke alarm is going to go off because it's burning oils off of that. If you're still dealing with that when you get it home, it will make you wonder how thorough this camper was even prepped, or if it was at all. And then you happen to look at paperwork. So, well, I was subject to that, so they must have done it. It's not always the case. It's just a fee. It's more way to get money out of your pocket. We don't agree with that. So.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Just so you know, guys, this 5 hidden fees, I just put a 1-page PDF download. You should see it over by your chat area somewhere. It's a 1-page free, obviously, download. And a couple comments. Been kind of fun watching people talking about pets and family members that they count as pets and etc. I've only heard of that one other time. Like someone bought a toy hauler, so they had all the extra space for like a little aviary that they the bird cages. That wasn't one of your customers, was it?
I don't believe so, but that's something I would probably do with my toy hauler. It'd be pretty cool.
So there's all kinds of great things you can do with RVs. Jalen asked, what's the name of it? So rvwholesalers.com. I didn't want to turn into a sales thing, but since you asked, Jalen, and we'll put up your contact information at the end here, but rvwholesalers.com is where Josh works out of. So we'll get to that.
Yeah, we try not to use this as a podium, but more so just for educational purposes. That's you guys are in the market. You're looking. Some of you probably being familiar with these fees. You've seen them on your past purchase, or you've heard about them on a friend's purchase or something. We're taking this time to make sure you guys are aware of them. But at the very least, we'd love the opportunity to help you. So at least compare, what you have locally to, whatever the case may be. But yeah, we're not using this for a podium. We just want to be education,
Yeah, that's good. Mary was asking, like, can you request an all-inclusive price? And that's what we really want you to do is, request it. A lot of people, like, I can't believe people get so excited. They go to a show, and we'll talk about shows in a second. They go to a show, they're like, oh, I got to get it now. Like there's 3 people behind me or whatever. And they throw down a deposit, and they don't even ask for like a sales agreement that spells out, like, this is the accessories that you'll be getting. This is what the fees will be. Like, they don't even ask for that. So number one, make sure you guys ask for it. I'm sure you've had people come in with sales agreements before they found you, and it's like, can you look at that? And it's like, you realize, like,
in one. so in order to come off as educated as possible, don't ask for an all-inclusive price. You go so download the PDF that Tim has made for you and ask each individual fee. Make them tell you what each individual fee is. Okay. The problem with the all-inclusive price is, again, I've been up against this. I was just up against a deal yesterday with a local competitor. Even the customer said, I'm buying this camper from them at $25,000. And once he sent me the deal, the page, which with everything written, with that, other salesperson's information, the price was $28,500. And I said, sir, you obviously haven't looked over this very well, because this isn't $25,000 is nowhere close to what you're paying. Look at this. You have to ask for each individual fee, or else they're just all-inclusive means here's the price of the camper, right? It can be misleading. Some dealerships now are a little bit more desperate than what they have been. You're going to hear what you want to hear. So that's the importance of knowing exactly what to ask for and getting that in writing, more or less. So,
yeah. And I always thought, going to a show, like I was talking about before, like that's, you can get some good deals because a lot of dealers are in one room. They're kind of competing on price. And I had no idea until I called, I think it was your uncle. I'm like, hey, David, I'm at the boat show down in Chicago, RV and boat show. And like, there's all these big RV dealers down here. Why are you guys here? He wrote back, he's like, I'll explain later. So he goes on to explain, he's like, Tim, you have an idea? Like it costs, well, think about it. One little 10 by 10 booth at a typical, convention center is $2,500. Well, think now I have to have a 40 by 10 just to get one trailer. I can't just have one. I have to have like 10 or 12 so I look like something. Then, he like started doing the math, and then he goes on to explain like, oh, and then I have to pay all my people to go over there, meals and hotels. And then I have to pay the transport company to haul the RVs over there, and then they're all dirty, so I have to clean them all, and then I have to pay for the union to put them in. I'm like, he kept going. I'm like, holy cow! Ends up being hundreds of thousands just to be in a show to give you guys the better deal. Like that's
well, and this is from the people I've talked to as well. Which for, I mean, to go with what you're saying, yeah, I already have a place of we have 4 places of businesses to sell from as it is. Why would I take products, staff members, and my time and then pay tens of thousands of dollars to take them somewhere else to sell the same camper cheaper? That's all I ask those customers that say they found a better deal at the show. Say, if you can make that make sense for me, then I'll agree that you've gotten a better deal. But until you go pick up that camper from the dealership, you are not going to see what else is left to sign off on, what else is left to still negotiate on. It's a very misleading practice, but it's not. That's what it's known for, right? I don't know where this came from, but that's what it's known for.
And that's where the hidden fees come in a lot of times too. It's like you don't realize at the show like that, because of that show and that extra money, they have to inflate their extra fees so they make a bigger profit margin. So that's just the way it works. It's a game, and they're not hidden. Who was it saying? John was saying,
yeah, I wanted to answer that one too. Yeah.
Hey, yeah, they're not hidden if we know about them, right? And some of them, why don't you, talk about?
There are some things like what I was saying in the beginning. There are some things that you have to be subject to. The biggest and the most unfortunate is going to be the transportation fee. Okay, your more honest dealers, they will roll that number, whatever the cost of them delivering that individual piece to their dealership. Okay, so let's just say from Indiana to Texas. That's about $2,000 right now. Your local dealer in Texas should at least be $2,000 higher than I am, because it only cost me $300 to get a camper here. So they should be that much more expensive than I by doing quotes. If they're not, if they're appearing cheaper, you have to, again, it would be physically impossible to take the same camper that I can get from the same place, but deliver it 1,000 miles south and beat my price. It would be physically impossible. So to make a long story short, some of these fees, John, you will be subject to, transportation being one of them. I mean, it's a cost of doing business. They have to get that piece to that dealership. Documentation and title fee, that is unfortunately something, now that can be inflated. Ours is $295. That's whatever the state issues our doc and titles for, right? But things like, again, the inspection, it should be done. You should not be charged for that. If they find anything wrong, they're going to get paid by the manufacturer. A couple that I still see are up here that I've actually come from my customers, environmental coatings. This is, if anyone's ever bought a new boat, you can, in some states, in some areas, you can be charged a environmental coating fee because your boat is going to go into the body of water of living organisms. That has nothing to do with RVs, but I've still seen it on purchase agreements before. It's insane.
Or the Route 66, or is it Route whatever?
Yeah, yeah. It's
fees that pop up.
Yeah.
So make sure you ask. Don said shows were a great place for him to kind of touch and feel, and that is true. Like
that's what I love about shows.
Figure out the quality that you're looking for. Do you want aluminum siding, or do you want fiberglass? Do you want this layout? Does this fit right with my family? Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing to do, is just to go touch it and feel it right now. That's one of the most difficult things to do. I've never bought, except this last purchase with my boat, I've never purchased anything sight unseen. That's a scary thing. So a show is amazing. You get to go see it, touch it, feel it, talk about it, ask your questions. But it can still be it can still be misleading. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind and make sure you get everything before. So.
Well, I looked at some of the surveys before, and a lot of people, the big thing was related to price. So that's why we're spending so much time on price, because I think it's really important. This number 2, though, expect price increases. This one is really gets my hair standing on the back of my neck a little bit, because this didn't, when I started these webinars, 4 years ago or so, we started doing a few of these. We never really had to deal with this, and I had to add this in because this is something new with COVID timeframes, and everything. Obviously, we know prices are going up. I mean, manufacturing, everything that comes from China, and instead of being $4,000 for a shipping container, now it's $29,000, $30,000 just for that same container. So somebody's got to eat that price, and since most RV parts are coming from one big manufacturer, for example, Lippert creates like 70% of all the chassis, electronics, and all the stuff that goes into all the different brands. They got hit with that, so they're passing it on to their manufacturers. Manufacturers have to pass that on, so that's no surprise. But explain what you're seeing on this and how we can curb some of this.
Well, to understand why it's happening, I want to take a step back. So right now, I mean, everyone, unless you live under a rock, you're understanding the price increases and the lack of materials. Those two things are the perfect storm. And the RV industry sees the worst of that, because not only do we have, like take these microchips, for example. Every Ford motorhome is over a year out. If anybody's telling you anything different, they're absolutely being misleading. And that's, we can't compete with dishonesty, so don't even try. But to make a long story short, they are only building retail sold campers. Okay. So the reason that you can go to somebody's lot right now and still find stock is because that customer that waited, let's just say on average 6 months for that camper, when it came in, as the dealership gets 2 to 3% price increases every single month. I mean, again, just quick math, that would be at minimum 12, but closer to about 18% more than what you agreed on when you ordered the camper. That's now what more you have to pay when the camper gets in. These dealerships are passing the increases along to you guys, okay? Which, I mean, they can't lose money, right? They wouldn't be a very successful dealership if they were losing money. But again, to try to summarize this up, there will be a difference between the time that you order and the time that you go pick up. We are seeing all numbers all over the board. Last year, this really came to light. Dealerships were making you sign something that said that your price will be subject to change upon arrival. Since that's a scary thing to sign your name next to, now what they've done is they've just said your deposit is refundable. What that means, guys, is that your deal is worth the piece of paper that it is printed on. Okay, it's worth that much. It's nothing. When your camper comes in and you don't agree with the price difference, no worries. Let me go get your money back. They already have 20 other people that they'll sell that camper to, and one of them will be desperate or foolish enough to take that home, right? So that's
you're saying, okay, so let me make sure I understand what you're saying. So if I come in, I see the camper I want, or I order it, say I order it, it's $50,000, and it's going to take 6 months to arrive because I got the exact fit for what I need, the layout, everything. I didn't just grab whatever was available and pay the extra for that. Yep. But $50,000, we signed a sales agreement. So you're saying that basically I'm signing a piece of paper saying that I'm going to buy this, but you're saying that the price is going to be able to change after, right? Like by the time it comes, because that dealership doesn't really pay the amount of the RV from the manufacturer until it rolls off the manufacturer's line. He doesn't pay it like that day and lock in the price.
Exactly. The dealer doesn't. The invoice is received upon the offline date, which means that camper is now done. So back in 2019, the beginning of 2020, things were only taking 6 to 8 weeks. Now they're taking 6 to 8 months on average. So again, by doing the math, and we've basically, what little math that we've done, I mean, again, just you can see the increases. You can put it into percent. As a dealership, we're receiving 2 to 3% price increases every single month. So every month that your camper is on order is what to expect to pay more when it finally shows up. The crazy thing is most people are okay with this. That they're okay with the fact that they're giving one check for, let's just say, $50,000, and then they're writing a blank check for whatever the difference is. And I promise you, during the negotiation phase between you and your sales rep, it's going to be rainbows and butterflies. Oh, we're not getting increases right now. Oh, wait, it's okay. Even if we do, it'll just be a little bit. They'll tell you whatever you'd like to hear to get the money out of your pocket. And then when 6 months comes and goes, and then it's an extra 2 or whatever, they're going to, you're at their mercy, guys. I mean, for one, are you going to just go just forfeit that deal and go back to the end of the line and then still pay thousands more? Probably not. You're going to get taken advantage of. You're going to be at the mercy of them. You want to camp. We get it. You waited that long. The wait's over. What's a couple $1,000 more? Everyone else is paying it, right? Why? You shouldn't. It's bottom line. You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be taken advantage of like this.
And it's hard because you can't prove. Like, how do you prove that dealership is really, was really charged an extra $5,000 from the manufacturer? Like,
that's the thing.
The numbers, I don't know, and we'll talk about maybe invoice pricing. It's not like the government where they regulate this industry like they do the auto, where there's a sticker price, an invoice that says exactly what the dealer paid, what their profit is on that, and then they make their money on the extras and stuff or whatever. But it's not like that. It's not. Like, how do you prove? Like, dealers they get incentives, they get bonuses if they sell 10 of these, and it's like, so there's all these hidden discounts and stuff that they're getting. It's like, there's no way. Like, if you, like, honestly, knowing your mom's the accountant for a big RV dealership, so I'm sure she couldn't even tell you, like, well, what she really paid for that RV. Like,
I'm going to tell you one quick story because this is how crazy it is. Okay. And if this doesn't shed the light, I don't know what will, but this woman and her husband were on my lot in 2020, like January, February. They were going to order a Rockwood ultralight fifth wheel. And they decided to do business with the gentleman who they took my numbers to, and they beat it by $500 is what it is. Right. That camper came in 6 months later, okay, which she was kind of expecting. That's when things really started to get bad. So I quoted her 3 months, which is what I was being told. But regardless, that was at that time. Moving forward, after it came in, I got an email or a message on Facebook, because I'm in all of those Facebook groups with my customers and stuff, trying to help people out. And I got this message, and it looked really familiar, but I couldn't place it. And she's like, "Hey, Josh, I don't know if you remember me. We're on your lot. We did decide to do business with the other dealership. I'm not going to name their name. That wouldn't be necessary, but we decided to do business with them. The camper just came in, and they've increased the price about $8,000 is what she told me. Okay. So she wanted to, before she took any legal action, she just wanted to make sure that was okay. And I'm like, I can't believe you're even asking me this. That's insane. But she just says, I just wanted to see what would have been the process had you had earned our business. And again, I'm not trying to make this my podium, and maybe we do talk about this for a moment, but ultimately, since I sell the same products, I know what my increases are. Within 6 months, maybe $3,000, maybe. So they saw the perfect opportunity, because this is a very popular camper. They saw the perfect opportunity to increase that. And after the whole legal battle started, which they got their money back, she kept me up to date, and I kind of schooled her on how to handle the process, but that camper went back up on their website for an extra $8,000. So a total of $15,999 on top of what they told her that they'd sell it to her for. That camper was sold in 72 hours. So how do you know? You don't. And right. How misleading is that? Very much so. You have to do everyone right here. Again, I applaud you. You're doing your due diligence. You're doing your research. This is important now more than ever, because this is the stuff that's happening right now.
Yeah, man, that's good that you helped us understand that. I appreciate it. And just to understand a little bit deeper on this invoice price thing, like I started to talk about. So a lot of people ask us, like, hey, what is the, what kind of percentage should you see off the MSRP? Mm-hmm. And that's where I was saying, it's like, man, half these RVs that come in that I've seen at your place, they don't even have a sticker coming from the factory, even the factory saying what the MSRP, the suggested retail price is. You know, it's kind of I don't know, not really. It's really a fake number, really. I get, you know, dealers.
It really is, yeah.
So there is one number, the MAP. It's called a MAP price, minimum advertised price. That's a pretty solid number that basically a dealership can't advertise it for less than this number on their website, in print, whatever, or they'll be in big trouble with the manufacturer. They'll pull their line or whatever. But so they take that very serious. So that, like, even dealerships that are selling below that, they just can't show prices a lot of times. So I know that's the case with you guys. You have to get a quote, and then once there's a relationship, then they're allowed to show a lower price. So they can sell it lower than the MAP price. But
yeah, there's always ways around that stuff. But that again sheds light on how greedy this industry is. You can get me in trouble for advertising a lower price, which is actually my sales price, but you're not going to go after the guys that are selling MSRP or above. Makes sense.
They're pushing that top line. What?
Yeah.
Be like 30-40%, you know, less than the MSRP. But that number, like I said, is not a consistent number, so you can't go by that. And then I called one of the manufacturers' reps, was up at a big show up in Hershey this fall, and when I called him, he's like, "Hey Tim, I just got, you know, we sold 25 this morning. Normally it's like 10. It's going crazy here." Right. And he's like, I just sold them all at MSRP. Like nobody even asked. He's like, nobody even asked about a lower price, and he couldn't believe it. He's like, you know, and he was all proud of that. And I was like,
it takes all types to make the world go round. Yeah, that's what I have to tell myself.
So if you have more questions on pricing and all that, put it in here. I want to keep moving. We've got quite a few more things we want to cover. Quality, I know that's a big question. It's like, how, you know, is quality keeping up with the pace of manufacturing right now? And so that was kind of my big question going into the factories. What I found is, well, to be honest with you guys, I mean, it's not like car quality where millions of dollars, you know, hundreds of millions goes into the engineering and then the robots build it perfectly. You know, it's like, this is, you know, craftsmen in rural towns building these things. And, you know, so you can't expect this industry to be like the auto industry, just to give you a spoiler alert. But so that's why warranties and stuff, we'll talk about that, are, you know, should be considered. I notice, you know, especially when you're driving something down the road and bumps and, it's gonna, at some point you're gonna have issues. So, but I wanted to know, like, did it get worse, you know, with all the increase of demand? So what I saw is, one, the factories, they cut back a lot of their floor plans. So now instead of having 100 different floor plans, they'd have 70 different floor plans, or, you know, they would cut them back. And when I used to go to the factory a few years ago, I noticed like every 2 hours they'd be changing floor plans. I was like, so I was glad to see them cut it back, and then they would run these longer runs, maybe, you know, a day, 2 days of the exact same trailer, same floor plan, everything. It made a lot more sense. You know, now the guys are getting used to it. There's less room for error. So that was cool.
It's almost becomes muscle memory, right? Yeah. When you do the same things for so long. And, you know, and that's what I tell people too. The campers are the same. They're building more of them, and they're building more of them in sequence. So therefore it again, it's becoming muscle memory. What I think has changed is the people's expectations that have entered this industry. Yeah. The new people, they don't know what to expect. I mean, I can tell just by the first couple words that I share with a customer, you've been a part of this industry for a long time, or you've never camped a day in your life. And those two people's expectations are worlds apart from each other. So I think that unfortunately has impacted all of this, with the reviews, with the negative things, a lot more so than the factory just building more of what they do every day, you know. But that's my 2 cents.
And the cool thing about you guys are jumping into a community of people that love to help. Like, I'll never forget the first time I took up 2 brand new RVs to a campground had never been to. I'm backing in this 43-foot toy hauler, and dude, like, people came out of the woodwork to help me and like encourage me, like, and I was like, you know, struggle a little bit. It was not embarrassing at all. Like I couldn't believe the community and the guy, the neighbor that brought over a propane tank. He's like, oh, I got an extra one since yours isn't full and you forgot to fill it, you fool. He didn't say that, but that's how I felt. But it didn't last long because these people are so loving and like, it was just really cool. Like it's a cool community and people will help you through it. It's nothing to be scared of is what I'm saying. So, and yeah, and with quality too, like I noticed that for 2022, I expected a whole bunch of new changes and stuff. Nothing really, hardly anybody changed anything because they're like, why introduce a bunch of new stuff? Let's keep the quality up. Let's not introduce some stuff that could go bad for people or may not be able to get the supply in. So like, let's keep with what we know and what's working good. And so, yeah, so that's quality, just straight talk with you guys. So appreciate you sharing, Josh. Adopt or buy new. This is always a question. Should I buy a used RV or a brand new one? Do I take on someone else's issues? Right now, I'm kind of surprised how the prices of used have like gone crazy too. It's like sometimes you can almost get the same price for a new one, like haven't you seen that?
I think now it's more clear than ever. Okay. Unless you have more money than you know what to do with, or are for whatever reason desperate to go camping, you should be buying new. Even if you've never bought anything new. I've never bought anything new except the one of the two RVs I've had and one of the two boats I've had. Okay. Coincidentally, those were both within the last year. Okay. To make a long story short, no one wants to wait for this new RV. That's the biggest thing right now. Oh, you don't have it in stock? Okay, let me go through all this with you again. How long is it going to take you to get? Well, that's not going to work. But here's the thing. It doesn't work for you. It doesn't work for anyone. I promise you, no one wants to wait 6 months for anything. It's not in our nature. But the only other option that you get now is to go buy a used one for what they paid brand new for it 5 years ago. And that leads me to believe that no one understands or comprehends depreciation in the way that they should. An RV is the quickest and most appreciating asset that our money can buy. So if you go spend today what that guy spent brand new in 2016, when all of this goes back to normal, you got a $40,000 paperweight that no one will in their right mind will get you out of. It makes sense to be patient because anything you order today, not only would you be receiving a 2023, but you would have it for a 2022 price. That's the beautiful thing. So, and right now too, I mean, I'm a part of a lot of groups, one of the biggest ones being the rental community. I'm embedded in that as well. There have been more rental companies open up in the last year than what there ever has been. If you were that desperate to go camping, keep that money in your pocket. You worked hard enough for that. Go rent a camper for a weekend. Do what you can to make the trips. Don't pay $13,000, $14,000, $15,000 more just to have it today. And that's why you also see the incredibly inflated prices of the new ones. If they have it on the lot today and it's going to save you a 6-month time, the only reason you found that camper is because you're the only one crazy enough to pay that price. You know what I mean? There is no deals. There hasn't been 2 deals. I surprisingly, I haven't had anyone this winter call and say, "Hey, I'm looking for a leftover." We haven't had any leftovers for 3 years. There is nothing. So that's really it's a perfect storm, but that's unfortunately what to expect. And waiting for that camper is going to be worth your investment. It's going to be worth your time. But it's just it's crazy to see the used market right now. It's insane.
Katrina just said that she's getting ready to head to a show, so this was good timing. Good job.
Oh, good. Okay.
Get prepped up before you start talking, and you know what? Yeah, don't fall for the pressure. Like I have to make that decision. Like while I'm here, like you don't have to make the decision. It's not going to disappear on you as fast as they make it sound like. So how to avoid getting a lemon. Let's talk about used a little bit more. Like, what do you recommend if people should they buy? Okay, say someone has, they're looking at used and they want to go the used route, even though we don't think it's the greatest idea. What are some things that they can do to make sure they don't get a lemon? put down a couple third-party inspectors. You want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about that real quick? Basically, yeah, just.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that, so again, on a normal year, the only people that ever considered buying used are those that are they're strictly budget, or they're just getting their feet wet. They don't want to get into a new camper. But I have just as many people looking to not inherit any issues than I do that are looking for the budget, right? So both sides of the spectrum being very important to us. To best ensure, I mean, if you don't trust a dealership to prep the camper or to, whatever, but they still have a good deal, you should send a third-party inspector. You should also take advantage of the walkthrough and make sure everything meets your expectations. The problem with used campers is they are sold as is. So basically anything that would need fixed would come out of your pocket. It's not going to be much of a negotiation between you and said dealership that has the product.
So $400 investment.
Yeah.
Or if you want to do it on the cheap, I see like the biggest issue in a lot of used campers and a lot of insurance claims are related to water damage. They can total out an RV like so quick.
Yeah. But that's a real quick, like that's an easy tell though. That's
yeah.
It might be a silent killer, but that's easy.
You can buy a little moisture sensor. It'll go right through the walls, through the floor, through the tile. You just run around with that and make sure there's no moisture trapped under there, because you want to walk away from an RV that has that. And it happens because people don't maintain their seals, like on their roof, around their air conditioner. It's a super easy maintenance item that you want to do every year. Yeah. But a lot of people just, don't take the time to do it. And it takes.
Well, and they also might not have been informed of that too. I've had that too, where, this camper is a piece of junk. It leaked in 2 years. How many times have you been up on the roof? Never. Why should I? Well, you were set up for failure. You weren't explained that this is necessary maintenance and it can void warranties. So I do feel for those people too that got a rushed walkthrough or weren't given that information. But now they think, well, this product's junk. Well, it's not junk. We just, you weren't given the appropriate information.
Jaylen was asking about motorhomes. Say you have a new motorhome. It's paying a little extra to get a slide cover that covers over the slide, so that when you back into a campground and a tree, a little branch falls and lands on top of your slide out, and then you don't realize it's sitting up there because you don't go up and look. You close it up. Now that branch penetrates the slide seal, and so now they make little covers that cover over them. I mean, it's just little things like that, knowing, how to prevent seals from breaking and leaks happening. And so I'm glad you guys are taking time to learn this stuff. So if you are thinking about trading in, I know we get this question, not a lot of you guys here today that are have already got an RV, but probably the best thing is Facebook Marketplace. I mean, just sell it outright. Don't bother trading it in.
Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, in some areas, and RV Trader is the most powerful tool right now. And that's I'm telling all of my customers, I don't even want to give you an offer. You have every right to take advantage of this market. Okay. I had a guy last week. He said, well, they're offering me $8,000 more than what you are. I said, sir, look at the price of their camper versus mine. I'm $13,000 less. Of course, they're going to give you more on the trade. But here's the thing. Ask them if they'll pay cash for their offer. I bet they don't. I will. But I'm telling all my customers, so what we do is we have such a strong repeat and referral, business motto. Even if I did pay an extra $8,000 for your camper today, now I have to make a profit. So the next guy I'm selling it to, he's getting hosed. No two ways about it. When he comes back in a year or two and buys another one from me, and then I offer him what it's really worth, guys, I'm not having that conversation. We want to be a part of this industry, but not for the greed. So I'm just telling, you guys get to take advantage of the market in ways that we wish not to. Okay. I'd love to make more money. Don't get me wrong, but not in the way that it's going to have those difficult conversations. So you guys, I'm just telling everyone, especially those that are ordering a camper, hold on to it for a little bit. That way you don't miss camping, but sell it outright and put that money in your pocket. It goes such a long way.
Jaylen asked, what are some things to consider when buying from Facebook Marketplace? I'm going to put up your contact information so that you can, if people have questions or they get into a process and I know you've got like the big NADA books and stuff where the values of used campers and different things, or if they have questions like that, maybe you can help them out. I'm sure.
Absolutely. It'd be my pleasure.
So Josh's information at RV Wholesalers 877, and then his extension's on there or his email, and then him and his team can get answers to you. So I know we won't have time to answer all the questions today, but we'll try to get to as many as we can.
Yeah, just give me a call. I mean, it really just depends on if it's a private seller, what you're buying. I mean, but still, I think to go with Tim, we can still get a private inspector to go through there and look at things. And, most things that you should be concerned about will be telltale, but, let's run the appliances, let's run the furnace, make sure those things work too. You can have someone run out there and do that for you before you consider buying. And if the seller has a problem with that, they're probably hiding something. So you may as well let that one go, so.
Yeah. Here's a number 7. Know the big dealer finance secret. I had no idea about this until a few years ago when I started hanging out with you guys, and I was pretty shocked. Like I didn't realize this isn't just for the RV industry either. This is like power sports, boats,
any large retail purchase.
Yeah, anything big. So okay, tell us what it is.
So
like if you guys got nothing else out of our whole times, thanks for hanging out, because number 7 here.
Yes. I mean, this is a pretty big one. Whenever you finance through a dealership, again, like Tim said, doesn't matter the product, any large retail purchase, car, boat, motorcycle, airplane, submarine, I don't care what you're buying. If you finance through that dealership that is selling you that product, they are writing the loans, they are working with you, they are doing all of the bank's job for them. So when you give your business to them, the people that are going to collect that interest from you over however many years, they want to make that worth a dealership's time. This is called reserve money, kickback money. Okay. And it's not just a couple $100. Like this is actually, in most cases, we could make more money in financing this camper than what we could selling it to you, the profit margin that we have on selling you the camper. Okay. So this is why we refer to that as a secret. You're not supposed to know. As a consumer, you're not supposed to know. And I know some of you are probably kicking yourselves right now. Like, I just bought a car I just bought my truck. I get it, but apply this towards the future. Always ask that dealership, how much of that reserve money, how much of that kickback is coming to me, to give you an idea.
Yeah. For example, like do a motorhome for say Jaylee.
I'm going to give you 2 examples. If like $30,000, I'm getting about $3,000 back from the bank. 100,000, it's close to 10. It's close. If give her. I mean, there's a lot of factors, and you guys, your personal information, like your credit and everything. There's so many factors involved. But to give you an average, it's like 10% of the selling cost, and that's no little amount of money, right? So we kind of do something.
Loans are typically 10. 15, 20 years. I mean, that's how the bank says, oh, hey, I'm going to make money off their interest these, longer periods. So let's give a big incentive to the dealerships to get these.
That, and they're also, I mean, so that's unfortunately the most comparable way we can put it to a mortgage is the longer you borrow, the better interest rate that you get. So even like our cash buyers, guys, they finance to get this deal. Like as a cash buyer, what are you looking for? You're looking for the best deal. So being a wholesale dealer, I can't really just I can't give the camper to you, but I can give you all of that reserve money and save you a lot. So
it's not like the old days where I come in with cash, I get a discounted rate.
Yeah. No.
Why would I give you a discount? Because I actually don't get any money from the bank when you pay cash. So
yep.
Okay.
Cash is no longer king, but with my cash buyers, like any recreational loan through any nationwide lender, you're only required to keep it open for 1 year. After that year, so what my cash buyers will do, they $100,000 note, they're putting $90,000 on the first payment. That goes directly to the principal minus the one interest payment that on the first payment, right? But your interest is calculated based on what you owe. So now your interest is on $10,000 instead of $100,000. You are saving the most amount of money possible. But it's not something that's generally told to the public. And a lot of dealerships, to avoid the conversation, but to get you to finance, they'll give you a little sliver of it. They'll say, hey, if you finance with me, I'll give you $500, $1,000. Sounds good. I was going to do it anyway, so I may as well take your offer, right? They just made a killing off of you guys. And not to mention, too, to inflate the interest rate, that's a very real game here in every industry. They're legally allowed to do that. So you can see, what they would have given you a 5.9, you're now a 7.9 with the dealership. That's a way to get a lot more back. So I don't like that, and that's why we do play a whole different game, basically. So
yeah. So say Jalen goes to a RV show this weekend, sits down with the finance, is going to go buy this RV, and she sits down. Like, what would she have to ask you? Like, if it was your money, like, what would you do to get to ask for this? I guess kind of walk me through it, because I want to make sure people know how they're prepped to get a discount like this.
Yeah. To truly avoid the games, I would act like you're not financing at all. I would say that you're a cash buyer. And I say this because every dealership now is working the exact same way. Okay. Well, here's your cash price. It's going to be much more, make them explain why that is. They're going to do everything they can to tiptoe around the conversation that they're being paid by the bank. Okay. To even the point where I've seen comments from other people say, it's more if you pay cash. Well, it's because the dealership doesn't have the cojones to tell you why that is. They don't want the conversation, guys. But to make, I would act like I wasn't even financing. I would want them to sell me on financing, and then you got them. As soon as you get that bait and hook, now you can say, okay, well, since we both know the game, how much of that reserve money is from me?
Yeah, so dealer reserve or dealer participation are kind of the names. These are
kickback, commission.
Kickback, commission. Yeah. And sometimes some of the sales guys you might have to talk to a manager or a sales manager or an I guy, because sometimes the entry-level sales guys don't even know that's what happens with the bank on the back end. So
yeah, the some finance managers try not to let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. Yeah. So they'll wait to attack that when it's their turn to talk to you. But you'll at least still know what you're working with and who you're working with, I guess, in regards to their knowledge that they're keeping from you and yours that you're secretly aware of, So
we have a webinar replay coming to you about 2 hours after this in your email. So check for that. Jalen, we don't have a download of this particular thing, but I'll put up Josh's information here in a little bit, so you can ask any more questions or get more details on that. But hopefully that'll save you guys some money beyond just RV buying. So some extra dollars back. I know, some of the guys at your place have used it for autos and motorcycles here just recently. Yeah. So, and it's kind of funny because they know the same reps from the bank. So they throw out oh, wait, how did you know that? Like, okay, here's your money.
Exactly.
Preparing for service needs. I know this is a big question because you're selling RVs, RV wholesalers. You guys are selling them all over the country. And my question before I realized what you guys did, it's like, okay, that's great. But like for me, I'm up in Cleveland, Ohio. My local dealer's right here. I can take it in, get it fixed. And then I realized like, oh, shoot, like it's probably going to break when I'm with my family down in Gatlinburg or I'm up in Michigan camping. It's like probably not going to break like right here. So then what happens? I was like, so if I call the dealer, my local guy, say I bought it in Cleveland, I call him up. It's like, hey, just love the new camper. We're down here in Florida or Gatlinburg, and unfortunately my wife's going crazy. The air conditioner just went out. Like, and then what's he going to say? He's probably be like, that's sorry to hear about that, Tim. Like that's under warranty. Bring it in when you get back here. We'll get that all fixed up. I'm like, that's great, but what do I do the rest of the week that we're down here?
Exactly.
So how do you deal with that? Because I know that's got to be a question that you get probably from people all over the country that are thinking about buying, through you guys. But
my more educated customers, Tim, that's why they come back to us. I've heard from many of my customers to where it's actually, something that I kind of pride ourselves in. The price got my attention. The service kept me coming back. Okay. So and again, in order to understand why we do what we do, you got to understand really, I need to back up a couple feet. So there is zero contractual obligation, and this is the only industry that I'm aware of. There is zero contractual obligation in this RV industry. What that means is the only person that is obligated and by contract to do so, to fix your RV or to service it when you need that, is the person that you bought it from, the dealer that you bought it from. Okay. So, and obviously this applies with news. We're going to focus on that right now. Reason being, guys, is because this isn't anything like the auto parts, or you don't have, auto parts stores throughout your city. But I'm sorry, you do. You don't have that with RVs. Okay, we get RV parts from two places in this country. They're flown in, of course, or they're shipped in, and they go to two locations in this country, and then they're divvied out from there. With all of that being said, your local dealer, he's going to tell you one of two things. One, and again, this is if you did not buy it from him. Okay, which is the problem. Why? We've already established that the further away you get from the manufacturer, the more expensive this camper will get. Not everyone wants to spend $15,000 on the same rockwood that they could travel to Ohio to get. And here's the best part. You're buying an RV. You're going to be traveling in it anyway. Why wouldn't you travel for the deal, right? It's just, so with all of that being said, your local dealer, when you get it back and things start to happen, the two things that he's going to say is, one, I will not work on it because you didn't buy it from me. That is the more rude way, or I guess really the more polite way of saying, you made your bed, go sleep in it. Okay. You didn't let me take advantage of you during the sale. You get to go. It is on you. You get to deal with that. Sorry. The other thing that he might say, if he is more honest and forthright and helpful, is that he will work on it, but you will go to the back of his line until his customers can get all the way through. Again, we could still be talking about weeks or months. This is unacceptable. Okay. Regardless of how you look at it, this is unacceptable. And how do I get somebody in Colorado to buy from me if I can't take care of them? So about 15 years ago, it clicked. There is something called a dealer locator. If you go to any manufacturer's website and type in dealer locator right there, it'll pull up and it'll show you the people close to you. If you buy this camper from a competitor of mine and you're out of state, he looks up that locator and he tells you who you're nearest to and tells you, best of luck, let me know, sorry this happened here, this is the best we can do. Unless you want to bring it back here, clearly you're not going to do that. This is unacceptable to us. We have formed what we refer to as the nationwide service network. It consists of just over 2,600 service centers, and I can't say that clear enough. Service centers. They don't care where you bought it. They don't care how much money we saved you. They don't care if it's a Wildwood or a Salem or a Sandpiper or a Sierra. Those are the same things. Forester, Sunseeker, same thing, right? They just want to get you in and get you out as quickly as possible because that's how they make their money, okay? And this is an actual statistic. There's like, for every one dealership, there's like 8 service centers. So there's plenty of that. There's much more to rely on. And that's the other thing too. Not all of them are brick and mortar to where you have to take time out of your day or you're in Texas, your air conditioner goes out, you're on a permanent site. It just took you, 5 hours to set up because you got 3 kids and 4 dogs and, so you're not just going to end your camping trip, right? We actually have the capabilities to send people out to you guys as a mobile technician that can service things on the site. That's the beauty of this, is you don't have to go wait months, but for someone's turnaround times, we can send the parts. I literally just had, and this, since we're talking about Texas, a gentleman literally, by the time his camper was delivered to him, they took it out 2 days after. One of the pipes during transport was not glued, one of his water pipes. His underbelly was full of water. I had a guy out there in 2 hours, had the whole thing dropped, drying, everything's getting ready to get put back up. We got new insulation for him. We fixed a little pipe that only took 10 seconds, but the cleanup was much more. Every single thing was covered under manufacturer warranty, so we paid the bill except the service call. So that gentleman basically got a whole new, enclosed underbelly and his pipes fixed, which we're sorry that happened. It does, but it was all taken care of by nightfall, and we took care of the bill. All he was subject to was a $45 service fee. Name me one other dealership that has that capability. I want to shake their hand, because I don't know anybody else that has anything close to that. They're all going to rely on that dealer locator because that's unfortunately all they can do. And so, yeah, I know we're short.
You guys ask questions about service when you're like throw out scenarios and see how they plan to deal with it. If you're thinking about, before you actually
that's a perfect thing to say. Yeah. So literally, if you're buying it from, Oklahoma, how are you going to help me in Florida? You don't take it from me. Ask the people you're working with. Yeah.
In the last couple minutes here, as we wrap up, I wanted to just touch on service contracts. Are they worth it? And just give you a real quick, here's what they are and what to watch out for. So, because I didn't think that you should ever buy a warranty for anything, but after looking at RVs and camping in them and driving around, it's like, oh my goodness, within a few years, this is going to be well worth my investment. So I think it is a good idea.